Our guy was saying the other day about how it's a team thing with sacks. I'm proud of you and what you guys are doing to contribute to the pressure that the defense is getting.
Yeah, those guys up front, man, they're playing with great fundamentals, technique, and getting after those old linemen and quarterbacks. And I think we've done a good job downfield, just continuing to get better with our eyes and technique and guarding those guys. And I felt like we did a pretty good job last week. Then when the quarterback broke the pocket, of just locking on downfield, making sure we maintained and stayed with our wide receivers and our guy.
Are some of the sacks coverage sacks?
Yeah, I guess so. No, those guys did. I felt like our guys did a good job downfield, and those D linemen are doing a good job. And I think we had our guys, and their first and second reads weren't there. And by that time, you better block our D line, or they're going to be on you.
How tough is it to prepare for a David Cutcliffe coach team?
Good football team. When you really watch those guys, just overall, schematically they're good, and just the way they're coached, they're a very detailed offense, very detailed team. Just how they run their routes, the precision, and just how they match and mirror things up. So they're a very good football team, very talented football team, well coached, and those guys play hard and get after it.
What do you see out of the quarterback from last year to this year from Duke?
He's a good player. He's a really good player. You see some big plays he made against Virginia Tech on his feet. He made some big plays running the ball, extending the play. Then at the same time too, he makes some quick, good reads in the pocket, and he gets rid of the ball quick too. So you see him doing it. You see him doing it in the pocket as well as with his feet. So he's done a good job so far this year.
How difficult can it be to face the empty sets with tempo?
With tempo? Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing, talk about tempo, we faced tempo 2 weeks ago. But, I mean, at the end of the day, when you get tempo, it's about us making sure we have a sense of urgency to make sure we get back to our alignments and just see our keys and make our checks. You know what I mean? So we got to make sure that we do our job. If teams are trying to tempo us, that we get back home and make sure we get aligned correctly and see what's going on and make calls.
How unique do you think their offense is, given that one series they can go 5 wide and then the next they'll go triple option?
Yeah, that is when you watch the film and we pop it up on Sunday. I'm like, where did this come from? But yeah, it is unique. They'll pop in that triple option a little bit, and like you say, they'll go 5 wide and they'll personnel you with different guys, and they'll go some open sets. Then they'll go some tight end sets with him in the core in the backfield. So they do mix it up, and they give you a good variety of what they're doing offensively.
So what is the challenge in preparing for so many different things that you're facing?
I think, even when you saw it last week, Delaware did a great job, too. Like, those guys, when we got into the red zone, when you broke those guys down from a red zone standpoint, I think we had 22 plays along with about 16 different formations or 12 different formations, So those guys did a good job of personnel you and formation you as well. So like I said, at the end of the day, it's always about making sure we get back aligned properly and making sure you're seeing your keys. Like, you have rules in what you do. So as long as you get home and you do those, you'll be fine.
Does it remind you of a Paul Johnson Georgia Tech team at all when they go to the triple option?
When they go to the triple, yeah, I mean, they do a good job. Now that thing, you're preparing for a lot of stuff there, and I only saw it for 1 year when we played him, but he had a lot of answers for everything. But yeah, they do a good job when they do get into their option set.
Do they cut block like Georgia Tech did?
Well, I don't know if just with how the rules are and everything these days, the cuts aren't as violent what they were a few years ago. But you'll still see it.
When DeMar drops that pick six on the second play of the game, how important are those kind of plays in the grand scheme of a game? Like, how big of a default was that?
The second play of the game, that'd be a huge momentum to get that second play, first pass of the game and take it. But, we got to make sure we're driving our eyes right coming out of that break, and it's just that little detail of having a better angle where, you get that. So, it would have been a huge momentum swing for us to get that turnover and take that ball away. But now, extended the drive to, I think, a 5 or 6 play drive from there. So we got to come up with those plays. We got to make sure we're getting the ball back for our offense and setting up for those guys.
What's the focus like, now that non-conference is over? You just have 7 ACC games kind of staring you down.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get into ACC play, you know what I mean? But just like any game, we're going to go one game at a time of who we're playing and making sure we're continuing to build on ourselves and get better each week, from week 5 to 6 and continue to grow and mature as a football team each and every single week.
How much is facing quarterbacks like Bryce Perkins and Nathan Rourke help prepare for somebody like Quentin Harris?
Yeah, we faced some of those guys. Like you say, you faced Perkins the very first game of the season, and we faced guys in general. Last week he could run, he could move and get after it. So we faced some guys, and we faced these guys last year too. So it does help prepare you, and it helps prepare you from a secondary standpoint down the field, being prepared to lock on, which we've continued to grow and get better at that ourselves down the field.
How is your secondary different and or better than it was a year ago?
Different, every single year it's a different team, different kids and different leadership. So it's different from that standpoint. And I just think we continue, when you have depth and you have guys pushing each other, I think that's always going to continue to grow and make you better. So I think we do have good depth, and I think we have a lot of guys that have played football, and have played football throughout the years too, which really helps us grow. And I think that competition is good throughout the week and practice to push each other. Nothing's guaranteed every single week.
Corey, who is the leader back there?
The leader? I mean, you got your older guys. I think Dane Jackson does a great job. I think DeMar does a good job. And you still have your other guys that are playing. And I think all those guys, they try to push each other. I don't think it's just one voice or just two guys. But, it's each other trying to get the next person into the film room or making sure they're coaching each other up on the sideline. So I do think those guys work and feed off of each other and do a good job. Because I don't think everybody's always 100% every single day. You know what I mean? Where you just expect one guy, he's bringing it every single day, and you got to have other guys that step up and get after it and push each other too.
Corey, when you have an offense that gets the ball out as quick, obviously UCF got the ball out quickly too, but
hit a quick release.
They're set. I mean, they throw a lot of sticks, a lot of short, curls. How big is the secondary in that regard, and trying to create turnovers, create havoc when if they're getting the ball out that quickly, maybe it's tough for the pass rush to get home.
Yeah, we just got to make sure we continue to drive our guy with our eyes. Like I said, continue to play with great technique and just make sure the second man in, we're coming in, we're raking, we're fighting, and we're ripping at that football. You know what I mean? And just making sure we're driving to the ball for, those tips and overthrows and get those opportunities. At the end of the day, no matter if the ball's thrown out quick, if it's not, the more hats you have to the football, the better your opportunity is to get the football. So we got to make sure we're doing that, and we got to make sure we're getting after it from that standpoint.
The leading receiver is their tight end. What kind of challenges does a big receiving tight end like that present, and what have you seen from him on film?
He's a good football player. He's a very talented football player. Like you said, he's their leading receiver. He's very aware. He does a good job of sitting in holes, working leverage. So he's a talented football player. And like I said, we just got to make sure we play him correctly. Don't try to do too much. Try to make too many plays. Because of who he is, just continue to do our job. But he's a very talented ball player.
Are you concerned with the lack of turnovers thus far this season?
We would like to have more. You're through 5 games and have 2, so we continue to make it a point of emphasis, and we just have to make sure we continue to get better and get more again, so we can help our offense out, or get them the ball, not help them out, but get those guys the ball. Everybody likes a short field, right? So we got to make sure we're doing our part to get the football for our offense.
Do you harp on it with your players?
Yeah. You don't get interceptions. You do push-ups, and they do that as a whole in a group, and if it touches your hand, you might as well just go do 10 push-ups right now. So we do harp on it. We harp on it daily. We harp on it in the film room of missed opportunities, when we don't make those plays, when we could have had it if the ball's on the ground. Even if you're wide receiver, if they're throwing the ball to the receiver and they don't catch it, we call that loose change. Go get the ball. The ball's on the ground. It's ours. We make it a strong point of emphasis.